This is the Songwriter Connection, the award-winning elite music podcast of the year, connecting the songs and the people who write them. Welcome, songwriters, friends of the song, and fans of great music. Pull up a chair around the dining room table. From his home in Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, songwriter and storyteller, Dave Linehan.
We are less than a week away from St. Paddy's Day. With a name like Linehan, you can imagine, yes, it's a big deal for me. And I have an amazing guest to introduce you to today. But first, I wanted to take the opportunity, this is the first time since it happened that I had a chance to get on the podcast and thank my favorite radio station, which is Roots Radio. You've heard me talk about it. It's WMOT 89.5, which serves all of, it's a big stick, but all of Middle Tennessee. It's out there. And they have the show called The Local Brew. And my friend Anna Lee runs that. She's one of the best personalities on radio today. You can just hear the smile in her voice every time she's on the air. But she played my latest song, which is a duet with Kari Phillips this past Sunday, and then repeated the show on Monday on The Local Brew. Check it out if you will. Anna Lee, thank you. We love you, and I certainly appreciate that. When I moved to town, it was 2013, and we moved to Hermitage, which is not too far from the airport in Tennessee. And the first restaurant that we went to was McNamara's Irish Pub and Restaurant, which is, oh, and here's my cat wanting to join in. Come on, now you be good. She likes to join the podcast from time to time. She must be an Irish kitty. Anyway, McNamara's Pub, fantastic. We took my mother-in-law and my wife, and we came in, and we just absolutely loved the atmosphere. We stuck around, and we heard the great music that comes out of that place. And today, the co-owner with his lovely wife, Paula, is our guest today. An amazing songwriter, an amazing performer. It's Sean Turk McNamara. Welcome to the show, my friend. Good
Dave,
to see you.
Dave, thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. And congratulations on getting your song played on the radio.
Isn't that something?
Man, that's great. Any opportunity is great. Yeah.
To hear your song on your favorite station, it's just like, I don't want to cry, you know? It's so cool. Yeah. And she's been great. She's been playing our stuff for a little while now. And I really appreciate her for that. Turk, they call you Turk, right? I'm really curious about the name.
I was born on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's very simple. Yeah, November 25th, 1971. So my given name is Sean Patrick McNamara. My father was a very proud Irishman, and then born on Thanksgiving. So Turk was kind of the nickname given to me at a young age, and it's stuck. And I ran by the name Turk here in town for a long time, from about 95 to about 2007 to when I was pursuing the songwriting. And then in about 2007, I decided to kind of do a change, and that's when I started putting all my effort into opening the pub. And when I opened the pub, I kind of went back to my given name of Sean Patrick. And
that's so Irish.
It's about as Irish as it gets, yes, sir. And then in 2020, when we shut down, we had to shut down for COVID for about 6 months, and I obviously had a tremendous amount of free time on my hands, and I found that I wasn't done writing songs, and I wasn't done trying to chase whatever it was that brought me here in the first place back in 95.
Well, it had been really hard during COVID to be a club, restaurant owner. I mean, but you used the time very well to start writing again.
Yeah, I always would have said with Paula, in a situation like that, you just have to outthink it.
Yeah.
And so I was very blessed. We had opportunities, there were some assistance programs, the PPP loans and things like that we had access to, but we shut down. We made the decision to shut down pretty quick. It actually hit 2020. It hit about the 14th of March, which was 3 days before St. Patrick's Day. And so St. Patrick's Day itself was remarkably stressful. We weren't allowed to have more than 50% of people in the building. And we never did. And we actually shut down at 7. And it was unprecedented and quite worrisome, but there was a couple silver linings in it. One was that I was sitting on a tremendous amount of product for St. Patrick's Day that I wasn't able to sell, specifically frozen food, fish, corned beef, things like that. And so I was able to, we lost a lot of the perishables, well, all the perishables, but I was able to sit on product for the 6 months that it took us to kind of navigate everything and then slowly kind of come back. And so that when I didn't have that expense to really hit the pockets, We did it right. I really feel like we did it right. There were some restaurants that tried to open up in the middle of June, and unfortunately, it just, restaurants are not designed to work or be successful unless you're at 100% occupancy.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the margins are so narrow. I mean, you're talking 7 cents on the dollar at a well-run restaurant.
No kidding.
Yeah, they say 10, but in reality, it's more like 7 to 8.
And you earned the business. You learned the business from the inside out. You came here, 95?
I did. I came here in 95. I started at a little pub down waiting tables called Mulligan's down on 2nd Avenue,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's where I got up and sang Danny Boy one night. And Tony Lyons, God rest him, was the owner. And he says, man, you got a good voice. You learn 30 more. I'll put you on stage.
30 Irish songs, right?
Yeah. And I was looking for an opportunity to play. And so I did. And I had been to Ireland the fall prior, but I didn't grow up with the tradition. I didn't know it very well. But I started digging into songs, and I learned about 30 songs in about 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I went back and I told him, and he kind of looked at me like I had 3 heads. And then he handed me his guitar and he said, all right, start singing. And I sang him about 4 or 5 songs. He went, okay, you can start Wednesday.
He didn't think you could do it, right? He thought he gave you an impossible task.
I don't think he expected me to actually do it. It wasn't that I didn't think I could do it. I think he thought, I'm sure he's probably said those exact same words, maybe to other people, but
probably. I
took him at his word. And so I did. I learned them. And then my first gig was on the Wednesday night. It was 8 to 1. It was a 5-hour solo. It was $40.
$40.
That was my first gig.
Wow.
Yep.
Now, he'd been a mentor to you. He turned out to be quite the mentor.
He and Jake Mayer, the 2 owners, were tremendous. It was an apprenticeship for me. I spent 10 years down there. And when we started, so I started on the Wednesdays. Tony had a really, really cool backstory. He was in Vietnam. And part of the whole, actually even prior to that, his father was a booking agent in the Catskills in the 1950s. In the early 1960s, I guess. And if you remember, at that era, if you think like Dirty Dancing, all those musicians in the Catskills were all vaudevillian musicians who had been put out of work by rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
So they were tremendous musicians. And so Tony kind of learned that. And then he goes to Vietnam and he meets up with Adrian Cronauer and the whole Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
That's it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then he moves to Nashville and he's friends with Dan Miller and Pat Sajak.
Oh, gosh.
And for those who don't know, Dan Miller was a legendary news broadcaster in here for years and years and years. And Pat Sajak, obviously, we all know from Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
And so Tony was an announcer at the Grand Ole Opry, and he kind of taught me stagecraft and the ability to entertain and how to deal with certain situations. And then Jake Mayer, God rest him too, he was a live sound engineer who was a bass player for years and worked in the publishing. And he taught me the science of sound. And so between the 2 of them, I had a great education, know. And then once I got settled in on the Wednesdays, they eventually bumped me up to weekends. And so I was playing with the 2 of them. There was a band called Sport and Paddy. And when we first started, they were significantly better than I was. And then about 3 or 4 years into it, I kind of caught up to them. And then, as we kind of moved on, I kind of was trying to continue to climb a little bit, and they were comfortable with where they were. And after about 10 years, it was an opportunity to kind of move forward and move through and move on. But it was a wonderful, wonderful time of my life. I was young. I didn't really have an awful lot of responsibilities, but I learned a lot.
And that's why they say it's important to play with people that are above you.
Oh, absolutely.
People that are better than you, because you will rise to their
And write with people who are better than you. You know what I mean?
Write up.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes people get scared to try and write up or how to try to play up, and it's a natural thing. I have, I don't get afraid of an awful lot anymore, these days.
You've been through them. 30 years on stage,
Yeah. I've played literally March 1st will be my 31st anniversary moving to Nashville.
Wow.
And I was figuring it out. For about 12 to 13 years, I was playing 300 gigs a year.
Oh my!
Because I was playing music, Mulligan's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was playing Dan McGuinness on a Sunday down on Music Row. And then I got hired as the house band at Finley's out there at Opry Lane Hotel.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would play 2 nights a week, 1 week, 3 nights a week the next. So I was playing 13 out of 14 days.
Unbelievable.
And I did that for 12 years.
Did it become a grind ever, or just loved it, passion?
It never became a grind. I still never get tired of the show. I mean, I've got like I said, I think I've figured it out, well over 6,000 shows in Nashville, which is quite incredible. I would put it up there probably with quite a few other musicians as far as time on stage. I never get tired of the show. I don't work off of a set list. I work off of an audience, and I think that makes a difference.
It does.
But I also think one of the big things that I think came naturally to me, but I also think is the difference between whether you get burned out or not is I don't perform to the audience. I perform for the audience. Wow. And I think that makes a really big difference because then it becomes more just more emotionally connective.
I see.
You know what I mean? I feel like there's that thing where the audience and myself hopefully connect. And if you can do that, then it never gets tiring.
I got you. And as a songwriter, I think, which has to be an advantage to you, you can play one of those songs on the stage and you can see instant reaction if it's working or not, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing that I think as a songwriter, performing as much as I have is when I finish a song in a co-write, I'll start to play it. Mm-hmm. And I start to play it and I start to play it. And that's kind of when you take the sandpaper to it or the emery board, or you take that little thing and that's a luxury I have as a performing musician and songwriter that maybe some other folks don't have, that don't really perform often, is I can really dial a song in by repetition and performing. And
it takes time, doesn't it?
It does.
Got to do the work.
Well, and it's a funny thing. If you are good, if you can play and you can sing, when you write the song, you think it's done, and then all of a sudden it kind of just falls into place with repetition, where there are some writers that I'll write with at the moment you finish the songwriting situation, they don't ever change it. Yeah. And it's like, everything's got to be kind of fluid. You know what I mean? Try different tunings, try different keys, try different...
Make it your own.
Make it your own, but also don't get locked into only one version of it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Songs... What did Michelangelo used to say? He didn't actually carve the statues. He just knocked away the stone.
Chipped away the stone. That wasn't part of it.
Yeah, and I think songwriting is the exact same thing.
Right. Huh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you start playing and writing?
I was 19. I started late playing guitar. I was 19. I played American football, and I
imagine you were a good football player.
I was okay. Yeah. I was okay. And it was a year they changed some of the blocking from traditional pass blocking to like more of a hands-oriented blocking. And I ended up hurting my thumb.
Oh, no.
Not
1
week.
Good for a guitar player.
Well, I wasn't a guitar player at the time, right? I was just playing football. And then I hurt the other one almost the exact same way. And so when I got done healing, I was looking for a way to build my hands back up. And I picked up a guitar and I picked up a yo-yo. The guitar stuck, the yo-yo didn't. So, yeah, but that's how I started. So and within, I'd say within a few weeks, I wrote my first song.
No kidding.
Yeah,
so right away.
Yeah, it was an old folk. I'm a folkie at heart. You know what I mean? When you grow up in the 70s, like I did in the 80s. Yeah. You listened to what your parents listened to. Yeah. So it was all Jim Croce and Jimmy Buffett and James Taylor and, that stuff. And which I think is also the reason why I was able to transition to the Irish music so much. But I feel like it really kind of also is the defining pieces of what makes my songs a little bit different. I always say I try to get people to think when they hear my songs without having to think about the song.
Got you.
Yeah,
I think I know.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Now, you still perform, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights?
I do.
At McNamara's? And you've got a band that you've been with for a long time.
Well, Josh Cully and I have been performing together for 23 years. He is such a huge part of my success. And then David Coe, who played with us for like 19 years, got to a point where he was just ready to kind of take a break and slow it down a little bit. And that's actually it was difficult, obviously, because we were so tight for performing together for so long, almost 20 years as a trio. Mm-hmm. However, some of the musicians talk about playing up. One of the guys we have playing with us on a pretty regular basis is a fellow named Dylan Foley. And Dylan Foley is a 4-time All-Ireland fiddle champion.
Wow.
And so if you're an All-Ireland champion, you're pretty much regarded as the finest in the world for that particular year.
I would think.
He won it 4 times, 3 times as the under 18, and then 1 time as an adult. and he's from New York. So not only did he win it, he won it as an American, which is very difficult to do.
Wow.
And so that's done nothing but make my chops better. And it's also kind of reinvigorated some of the stuff. And
wow.
Yeah, we've been doing okay.
Now, you recently opened up Turk's Upstairs, the lounge,
Yeah.
which reminds me, I got to play there. It was just before the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
Opened up for my friend Judy Pastor and had a wonderful time. Your place has such great sound, both upstairs and down. You've really built a great sound room up there. And I think it reminds me of like a Bluebird atmosphere. People are there to listen.
It is. It's a Bluebird atmosphere with a Douglas Corner flavor.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Douglas
I
Corner.
missed Douglas Corner.
Me
I
too.
really do.
Mervyn was another one that was good to me when I was coming up.
Was he? Yeah.
And for those people who don't know about Douglas Corner was one of the original listening rooms. Nashville was built on the small room. Even the Bluebird's a small room, you know.
Yeah.
But Douglas Corner and the Sutler and some of these places that were really influential and important back in the day that are unfortunately no longer here just due to progress. But sound to me is so very important when it comes to doing shows and such. And I think that's a testament to the education that I got from Jake that I mentioned earlier, because he taught me frequencies. He taught me curves. He taught me, how to cycle, sweep mids and things like that. So I'm a very analog.
That's what I loved about Douglas Corner, that big analog board that Johnny Winters used to run.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the other thing, I don't know if you knew it, but they also had a huge recording 18-wheeler out in the back that was involved with some pretty significant recordings, including Live at the Fillmore by the Allman Brothers.
Oh, no kidding.
And so the analog approach to the digital world, I think, works if you understand. Like the board I use is a PreSonus board, which is a digital board, and it's programmable, and we have multiple layers, but it's very analog thought friendly, and I think that makes a big difference. And so
gives it a warm feel.
Yeah, and the reality is, I think the key to first of all, if you get a good room and you get good mics and you have a good board and you have good speakers,
it's so important.
You don't really have to do an awful lot. You know what I mean? You'll have a couple of frequencies that might cycle that start to kind of build on each other, and you got to find them, and there's ways to find them. But with EQing that I learned. And live sound equalization is so very different from studio sound equalization, because it's almost like a mechanic versus a transmission guy. You know what I mean? You can't use all the microphones in a live situation work as one big giant microphone. So you might have one that's feeding back, but it's not the mic that's feeding back that's causing. It's the other mic that happens to have a cycle next to the speaker and things like that.
Yeah, you learn that stuff.
You do, you know, and so
that's why the Blackbird Academy here in Nashville. My nephew came and lived with us, and he went there. They have it split to live sound and studio sound. You decide which one you want to do. He did live sound. Today he works at the Rock Hall of Fame. I'm so proud of him. But yeah, you're right. There's total difference.
And some of the things that happen too, and I don't go down often much these days anymore to downtown just because of the evolution of it, and I get frustrated when
like most locals.
Well, there used to be there used to be a law in Nashville that you couldn't play your music outside of your venue. And so when you went to downtown, and all the venues used to be all on the one floor, and so you would walk past Roberts and the door opened, it was great. You would walk in, you'd hear the music, it would be great. But by the time you decided to step back out, you could kind of deflate. It got a little bit quieter. But now, because of the way it is and the multiplicity of levels, and because there's so many more venues downtown, I feel like the quality of the musicianship has been watered down. And so you get drummers, nothing is better in the world than a great drummer, and nothing is worse in this world than a bad drummer. And so, and then you pair that with what I was going to say is you go downtown, and a lot of studio engineers will pick up a side hustle doing live sound. Yeah. And you walk in and it starts to sound like this, and they don't understand why, and it's
square peg.
It's just, it's different skill sets.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to hear a song from you.
Okay.
We are known for our live music around the dining room table, and I know that you're an amazing songwriter. Folks put you in that pocket, unfortunately, of just a Celtic Irish singer, but you're so much more than that.
Yeah, it worked. You know, it's funny. It worked against me for years and years and years because I was the Irish guy, and now it's kind of coming back the other way. You know what I mean?
It's good.
And I think you mentioned earlier we came out of COVID with Turk's Lounge, and Turk's Lounge kind of came out of the fact that you couldn't. We used to have dartboards up there. And after COVID, for about 6 months, you couldn't have anything tactile, according to the Davidson County Health Department. So no darts, no pool cues,
no kidding.
Anything that, yeah. And so that was when Paula, my wife, was like, I wonder if we could put a second stage up there. And that's when I started to get the idea. And,
it's such a great venue. So, you can do in the round or on the stage like they do at the Bluebird, and the sound is incredible up there. It's up the steps. When you come to Nashville, you got to visit Turk's place.
Yeah.
McNamara's. So,
that's it.
Tell us about the song. We like the stories behind the song.
Yeah,
you got your 12-string out.
Well, this is a 10-string, actually.
That's a 10-string. What's the difference?
It was built by a friend of mine named Marty McMillan, and it's tuned like one big giant C chord. So it's C, G, C, G, C.
So the bottom strings are single.
Yeah, they're all unison.
All unison.
Yeah, and so I use a lot of different tunings. I use a lot of different, because like with the Irish music, I have a 12-string and a classical that are tuned to traditional guitar tuning. I have an Irish bouzouki that I play that's tuned almost like an octave mandolin, but I take the high and bring it down to a D, and then I have this one, and then I have a tenor banjo that's like a mandolin. So I just, flavor and sound. I always say, if you hand a child a coloring book, you don't give them only one crayon. Do you know what I mean?
Good point.
You got to have different flavors, and that goes down to are you strumming? Are you finger picking? Are you are you in the standard tuning? Are you using different tunings? And I find for my creative process, the more I can vary and try different things, the more productive I am with what I write.
There you go. Let's hear something.
All right. This song's called Oklahoma Wind.
Love this song.
And it goes a little something like this. Here we go. Oklahoma wind sings and sighs like a spirit choir from the other side. I steal a memory every now and then that takes me back to where it all began. Your jet black hair like feelings flow, a promise made pure as morning snow. I lost my heart when you found my hand, gripped it tight, called me your man. So blow, blow, wind, blow, to the only love I've ever known. She waits for me to return again, so blow me home, Oklahoma wind. Hymns are sung and stories told, how lovers dream on wings of gold. Leaving you is my greatest sin. I can only pray you'll still forgive. So blow, blow, wind, blow, to the only love I've ever known. She waits for me to return again, so blow me home, Oklahoma wind. So blow, blow, wind, blow, to the only love I've ever known. She waits for me to return again, so blow me home, Oklahoma wind. Yeah, blow 'em home, Oklahoma wind. Yeah, blow 'em home, Oklahoma wind.
Love the sound of that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Makes me want to buy another 12 string. It's been a while. I always used to take a 12 string too and had it in an open tuning when I played around a lot, open G or E or something like that, because it gives you a different feel. You got that, it just drums.
You get more ring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's it.
Fantastic. Can you tell us about the writing of that one?
Yeah, that one came out of a long idea years ago. Just the chorus of it kind of came to me first, and then I didn't really know what direction it would come, and then somewhere along the lines I decided I wanted to try to write a song for every state in the union.
Did you? Okay.
What
a challenge.
I've got 4. But that was one, and I was going to try. I was going to write it as Kentucky. Well, I originally wrote it as Oklahoma wind because I liked the turnaround of "Bring Me Home" or "Blow Me Home, Oklahoma Wind," right?
Yeah, that was.
And then I was like, well, maybe it's got like a bluegrass feel. Maybe I ought to call it Kentucky Wind. And I was coaching my daughter in a little rec league soccer team one time down off of McGavick Pike down there with the NYSA, and it was just blowing. The wind was blowing, and it was like something out of Charlie Brown. You'd put the ball down, and the kids would go to kick it, and the wind would blow the ball, and the kids would miss it. And I went and played a gig that night at Finley's with my buddy David Coe, who I mentioned earlier, who was actually from Oklahoma, and he goes, "Man, that sounds like an Oklahoma wind to me." And I was like, I'm a firm believer that if you listen, God will speak. And that was kind of like, all right, maybe it's called Oklahoma.
Absolutely. Yeah. People will talk and they will give you hooks. They will give you an idea. If you just listen, it's out there, right?
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I want to backtrack just a little bit. And I remember first St. Patrick's Day here in Nashville. Of course, we went to McNamara's.
Yep.
And it is, I cannot imagine what a crazy day that is for you. Does it still start with the parade and everything?
Well, we don't do a parade in Donaldson, but we do, this will be our 17th at the pub. It'll be my 31st in town. One of the things that we did coming out of COVID was we decided to do a 2-hour maximum in the music room. Mm-hmm. Which served multiple purposes. In years past, you would get somebody that would get there really early, and they would sit down, and if they got there for 10 o'clock in the morning, by 1:30 or 2, they really weren't in a position to be ordering any more alcohol or any more food, but they weren't leaving. And so, you're losing money, but you're also robbing people of the experience. And so we don't charge entry fee to the main building, but we do charge it to the music room. And so the concept was we do a 2-hour maximum. We do actually offset it with VIP tickets for half the room, then allow for 3, because you can't change the entire room every couple hours. It would bring the kitchen down. So we would set the room seats about 75 people. So we'll sell about 40 pre-entry tickets that they can come in at 30 minutes early, and then they get to stay for 3 sets. And then after the second set, half the room gets up and leaves. We do it by wristband, colored wristband.
Gotcha.
And the only way it works is everybody has to get the same show. Otherwise, it's not fair, right? Because if people are paying $20 to see one band, then $20 to see another band, or $20 to see us, Josh and myself and Dylan Foley, and then we bring in Sarah Wolfong, who's actually one of my oldest friends and a great musician out of Oregon. She comes to play St. Patrick's Day with us. Wow. The people that are seeing the first couple bands, which we would have done in the past, they're great bands, but it's not the same experience as when they get to see all of us.
Right.
And so now the way it's morphed is I play all day.
Yeah.
I start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I do 13 sets till 11 o'clock at night. So it's 45 minutes on, 15 minutes off.
Wow.
And that way, everybody gets the same show.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And therefore,
makes sense.
Well, it makes sense. And you're trying to create an atmosphere that's safe. Mm-hmm. The 2-hour maximum makes a big difference with regards to that.
So
I always say I'm not in the bar business. I'm in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And they're two very, very different
Very
things.
different, aren't they?
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we close at 9 o'clock through the week, 10 o'clock on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I worked at Mulligan's, when I worked at Mulligan's, that gig started at 9:30.
in the morning?
No, at 9.
At night?
As
It
far
started
as-
at 9:30.
Yeah, when I used to do the shows back at Mulligan's, those shows started at 9:30. Now my shows at the pub on a Friday, Saturday end at 9:30. That's the difference between 30 years, I think, you know?
You really pack them in, and it's always a great show.
Yeah, we do pretty good. Touch wood, you know. I just it goes back to that whole thing. You know, we play for the audience. You know, and one of the things that we've really started to drive home, and I say it all the time, is if we can have you walking out of the pub in a better place than you were when you walked in, that's the job. And I think that's the job for any performer. Any songwriter, you know, even if you're playing the rounds, like you mentioned earlier, playing the Commodore with Debbie Champion, who, you know, that round has been going on.
Yeah, 30-some years. Yeah,
forever.
Yeah.
And even if you're in a round, like songwriters that are moving here and they're trying to do something, you know, if you can get people in a better place after you've played your songs than before, you're going to find success. But if you can't figure that out, that's what needs to be worked on. You got to figure out a way that's going to make people go, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? And they stay engaged and they want to be part of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Good point.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little break. We'll come back. We're going to have more live music around the dining room table. Turk McNamara is our guest here on Songwriter Connection.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection with Dave Linehan. Find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Songwriter Connection Podcast. And find Dave at thedaveconnection.com. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
And big thanks to Jill of Publicity Nation. She has been doing wonders with that webpage and really getting the word out. Hey, thank you for joining us. This is our St. Paddy's Day broadcast of the Songwriter Connection podcast. And being Irish, you can imagine that's a big deal for me. It's always been. I do want to remind you at this point that we're also on YouTube, although we're not a video podcast. We do the radio thing. That was, you know, I got a radio face. Not really, but we do the radio, and we keep it like radio. But it helps if you like and subscribe if you're listening there. We just reached, I think, over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty good for a non-video podcast. And I'm proud of you for that, for spreading the word. Thank you so much. And there's a Spotify playlist out there, Songwriter Connection, the songs. And every Wednesday when we publish, we put a couple of new songs up there. So if you would stream that too, we'd certainly appreciate that. I remember as a kid, St. Paddy's Day was always a big thing. My grandmother, Linehan, if she was here right now and you played Danny Boy, she would be in a pool of tears on the floor. Her all-time favorite song. And boy, she could put on that brogue and she could sing. She'd sing to all my cousins and all his kids. She would put us to bed with a story and then she'd sing us to sleep. And that's what St. Paddy's Day, those are the memories that it brings to me. My first St. Paddy's Day in Nashville, I went to McNamara's Pub, and it was so packed. Sean Patrick McNamara is my guest today. It was so packed. You opened up upstairs. So this was before Turk's Lounge up there.
Yeah. And
there were tables up there, and we sat, and we didn't know anybody, but we met good friends up there. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful day. I had my Guinness and my shot of Jameson's like I always do when I visit your place, and we just had the time of our life. So it's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and it's obviously quite the undertaking. However, one of the silver linings about St. Patrick's Day is everybody wants to have a good time on St. Patrick's Day. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing we have to do in order for everybody to have a good time is to make sure we don't run out of anything. Mm-hmm. And the reality is it's and this is one thing that I think that really is a huge part of our success with regards to the restaurant and the pub is we have such a tremendous staff because, you know, on a St. Patrick's Day, you know, the doors open 10 o'clock for the general public, 9:30 for the pre-entry, but they're there for about 7:15 and then they won't be done until about midnight. Wow. So, I mean, then and there, you're talking almost 16, 17 hours. But you have to understand that 17-hour St. Patrick's Day is following on the heels of 4 or 5 other really big... I mean, St. Patrick's Day doesn't start on the 17th. It starts on the 13th. It starts on the 14th, you know? And so it ends up being really, really busy the weekend prior. We go with a limited menu. On
St. Paddy's Day?
On the Friday. We start on the Friday.
Oh, we start on the Friday.
Yeah, because the only way you can execute the food is to keep it manageable. And so we do Irish classics and a handful we do Scotch eggs, we do the Irish nachos, we do onion rings, and then just 2 desserts. And so that allows us the opportunity in the kitchen to expedite the food very quickly. And it's fresh. Everything is fresh
good
every day.
Yeah, great food. Yep. Any idea how many people you serve on a St. Paddy's Day?
I've got an idea.
Would you want to share?
Yeah, a few.
It's more than a few.
Yeah.
It's wild. And if you come to Nashville, you've got to make sure that you spend some time at McNamara's Pub. It's in Donaldson, not too far from the airport, and it's easy to find.
Yeah, and we've got free parking, and
yeah,
there's the only day out of the year we charge a cover is going to be on St. Patrick's Day, only for the music, so it's all free.
Yeah. And the music's always awesome.
Yeah, we take pride in the fact that we try to give you the best product we can.
And I'll tell you what's in Nashville these days, anywhere you can find free parking, that's a boon. That's a plus. Yeah. So that's great. Yeah, it's a great place. I hope you pick up that guitar and play us another tune that you've written.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your songwriting experience here in Nashville.
Yeah, I think coming from, I didn't grow up with some of the things that are really associated with the country music tradition. I grew up with the singer-songwriters of the 70s, the folkies. My parents loved that stuff. Jimmy Buffett and Jim Croce and Harry Chapin and things like that. And so I always lean towards storytelling, which has actually been,
Me too.
It's kind of working pretty well now that I've kind of figured a few things out. But my experience has been, I don't want to say I was either really, really 30 years behind the curve or I was 30 years ahead of the curve. Because what's happening now is I find some of the stuff that's coming out, some of the things that I do, it's falling into a nice little pocket of what Nashville's looking for. And I was actually going to play you an Irish song. I do write.
Will you do that?
Yeah, I wrote this one a long time ago called The Dublin Man.
The Dublin Man.
And it goes a little something like this. New York City, 3 a.m. Middle of December, young man lying on the street down on 57. Snow was falling all around, getting deeper by the minute. He holds on to the bottle, even though there's nothing in it. Well, he's a Dublin man, came to the promised land, but Lady Luck, she turned her back on him. God is nowhere to be found when you're this far down. No one gives a damn for the Dublin Man, for the Dublin Man. Boston in September, rain lashing down, other side of midnight, on the wrong side of town. A cabbie's working a double shift, he's a real blue collar. He gets shot down in the prime of life for $20. Well, he's a Dublin man, came to the promised land, but Lady Luck, she turned her back on him. God is nowhere to be found when you're this far down. No one gives a damn for the Dublin Man, for the Dublin Man. Heatwave in Chicago, middle of July. An old man's dying on his own at 105. For a moment he goes back in time to see so clearly. The last bus lined up on the quay, headed to Dunleary. Well, he's a Dublin man, came to the promised land, but Lady Luck, she turned her back on him. God is nowhere to be found when you're this far down. No one gives a damn for the Dublin man, for the Dublin man. Well, God is nowhere to be found when you're this far down. No one gives a damn for the Dublin man. He's a Dublin man.
Yeah, that's great. What a wonderful song. You had a story wrapped into that beautiful song. Man. Is that one you play during your shows?
Yeah, periodically, every once in a while. It's funny, I somewhere along the way, I don't know, I don't do as many of my own songs in the Irish show as I probably should.
Yeah.
And I think it's only,
I could just imagine hearing that song with the full band, the violins and
yeah,
everything.
Josh I think he plays accordion on it. And
Accordion?
Josh just has so much taste in what he does, and he's every once in a while he knows my material inside and out, and so I've started delving into some different venues and playing some different things. And
awesome.
Yeah, we're good.
Actually, you played at the Commodore not too long ago.
I did, yeah. Bill DeLuigi,
Billy D, who's been on the show.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine.
Yep.
He's a tremendous songwriter.
He is a good songwriter. Yes, he is.
He invited me to go play it, and I did. I went and played it with him, and I don't play those rounds too often, only because I'm playing the 3 nights a week at the pub, and then I do 2 rounds a month at in the lounge, which
that's good. Yeah,
it's one of the things that I've really worked on lately too, is trying to at least get out once or twice a month to see something. Like, I'm a big fan of Lauren Massetti.
Oh, I love her. She's also been on this show.
Oh, she's
an amazing person.
An amazing person, and
so talented,
and a tremendous songwriter, and a tremendous artist. I've gotten associated with Jeff Harjo and Sherry Harjo with the Nashville Basement Stage. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but
I'm not. But wow.
They are tremendous. They have begun it's not artist development as much as it's artist support. Where they have a stable of, like, Brett Cherokee with them, May Estes is with them, and they don't do. It's not like a contractual thing where they're taking any kind of money or anything. They're just really trying to help these people.
That's good.
That's how I met. I met Kaylee Bishop through them. I don't know if you know, she's a tremendous artist, and so that was a really cool thing that has kind of happened through the lounge, is meeting up with them. And one of the questions you'll hear a lot from publishers is, what artist did you write this with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because in this town, in this day and age, songwriters don't really get cuts unless you're writing with the artist.
Yeah,
and so,
that's true.
And then the catch-22 is, once the artist makes it, that door's shut. Mm-hmm. You're never really going to get through. Maybe if you're lucky, maybe. But if you can get in with the artists before they break,
that's true.
And then they break, you're already kind of in the room. And that's what Turk's Lounge and the approach. Daniel Lee is a friend of mine. He runs Leo 33 Records. He's the A&R guy over there, and he's been in the business forever. And he said something to me years ago. He goes, find your unfair advantage and work it to your advantage. Uh-huh. And for me, it's the restaurant, it's the pub.
For me, it's the podcast.
That's exactly right. So this is your opportunity to use a vehicle to kind of further the goal, which is the songwriting.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing for me with Turk's Lounge.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And you've written with some really great people here. You're talking. Yeah, that's another thing you said with the artists, but also with great songwriters. And I'm looking at some of the list of people like Dylan Altman, who's this guy's written some big songs.
Yeah, he wrote his big one was "Barefoot Blue Jean Night," which is the most played song in 2010.
It was. Yeah.
So I write. Yeah, Dylan's a very good friend of mine, and in fact,
he's played at the Lounge too with you.
Yeah, we do it. We do once a month. He and I do called "Music Girl Comes to the McNamara's," which is myself and Dylan, and then Joe Spivey.
Joe Spivey, who played on my song Absalom.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Joe Spivey's in the Musicians Hall of Fame. He's one of the
in the Time Jumpers too. Right?
Well, he's the band director of the Time Jumpers now since they reformed back about a year and a half ago. He played the fiddle part in Seminole Wind. I mean, Joe is ridiculously good, and not just at the fiddle. He can at anything.
Plays guitar.
Anything. And that goes back to what we said at the beginning. You know, playing above your station. You know, and playing with Joe. And the thing is, and this is usually the case in this town. There's the odd exception, but people as good as Joe are usually the nicest people on the planet.
He is.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Jeff Taylor's like that. Who plays keyboard? And Chris Walters. I mean, these guys are Mike Bubb. These are guys that are like top of the line musicians, and they're just good guys.
Good guys.
Yeah,
guys. Great people to hang with. You know?
That's
gotta be a good hang in this town. You really do.
It's important.
Although I hear another song, but you know, I'm gonna backtrack just a little bit because it's interesting. I always heard that there was a difference between Irish music and Celtic. What is the difference between the two? And I Googled it today. Yeah. And is there a difference?
I don't know. I've never quite heard that. There's a tremendous difference between Irish music and American music.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. And the emphasis, the biggest difference, especially with the instrumentals, is here in the United States, we love the backbeat.
Yeah.
So if you're if you're counting 1 through 4, that thing, and that a lot of that comes from that bluegrass thing and that chunk and the drums.
Oh, absolutely.
Where in Irish music, it's all about the 1 and 3.
1 and the 3.
You know, and if you're trying to find an American counterpart to that, think James Brown. Right?
Oh yeah.
So like if you go back and you listen, dun 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 dun, boom boom dun dun dun, boom. It's that one, right? Which is kind of that funk thing, but it makes sense because you know the African American and the soul tradition and the blues tradition of the United States comes from it's a poor man's tradition, right? It's from people that were not as enabled or ability had. They were second class. The Irish were second class.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When they came to the United States, especially the famine Irish, there's 3 major ways.
Brought their instruments?
But no dogs, no Irish need apply. Mm-hmm, that stuff's real.
Oh, I know.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the reason why also St. Patrick's Day is such a huge holiday for the Irish. There was a time in Ireland where the color green was outlawed, right? So if you wore green in Ireland, it was a capital punishment. They would execute you.
No kidding.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And so to have the ability to wear green and show what your true affiliation is, that's a really big deal. And that's where that pride comes from. It's funny, you know, everybody associates St. Patrick's Day with alcohol and the drinking and the partying. And, you know, in Ireland, you know, there's some of that, but it's a holy day. Yeah. You know what I mean? The reason why you have St. Patrick's Day is because you're celebrating the patron saint of Ireland who brought Christianity to Ireland. Yeah. And that is something that gets overlooked every single year. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the reason why they have the shamrock. The whole idea of the shamrock is to show the Holy Trinity. It's the God, the Father, and the Holy Spirit all in one, yet 3 separate things.
Yeah,
and so people don't realize, you know, a lot of those symbolisms and things like that. It's not green beer. Mm-mm. By the way, I don't sell green beer on St. Patrick's Day.
You don't?
No.
Good.
Absolutely not. I think if God wanted beer green, it would have been green.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, no green beer.
I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Yeah. No, I could never drink green beer.
No, that's it.
Well, that's good. We'll pick up that guitar. Let's hear another one. Yeah. Please.
I've got a...
That's a James Brown song. Please.
Yeah. I'll do an old-time country song that I wrote, a 3/4 song. I love 3/4.
I love the waltz. I really do.
I mentioned earlier I worked at Dan McGuinness, and that was a great gig. It was an outdoor gig, so for like 40 weeks out of the year, it was great.
Yeah.
And for like 8 or 12 weeks out of the year, it was awful. For 8 weeks, it was brutally hot in the summer, and for like 4 weeks in the winter, it was freezing cold.
Oh my!
And so every once in a while, when we get the opportunity to go inside, there wasn't really a stage, so we'd pack our gear. And I used to keep a work light in the back of my Pontiac, my Le Mans, and I would hook it onto the handle of the monitors. The monitors are the speakers that face us, and it was very juvenile, but it lit us up. You could see us, and then one day I plugged it in and turned it on. The light bulb blew, and so but the show goes on. So we played it, but you couldn't see us. And about 4 or 5 songs in, I just hear this drunken voice in the back going, "Y'all are singing songs in the dark." And if you're a songwriter and you listen to the universe and you listen to God, He'll give you those things. Those times. You mentioned it earlier. And so that was like, as I'm singing the song, I go, man, that's a cool idea for a song. Songs in the Dark. So this song's called Songs in the Dark. Love it. Tonight you sat in the front row, holding hands with your new man. You had a point to prove. I guess I finally understand. Now the lights are down low, all the folks have gone home. Just me and this guitar in the shadows alone. I sing songs in the dark, songs I used to sing to you. Well, songs about forever and dreams coming true. But after tonight, I know we're through. I'm singing songs in the dark, saying goodbye to you. I guess I should have seen it coming. I guess I should have known. One moment of weakness, now I'm living alone. I'm singing songs in the dark, songs I used to sing to you. Well, songs about forever, dreams coming true. But after tonight, I know we're through. I'm singing songs in the dark, saying goodbye to you. Singing songs in the dark, saying goodbye to you.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think you've got to have at least 1 3/4 time song in your catalog, songwriters.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yes. Some of the best country songs ever.
All those old songs. 3/4 is great.
3/4 is amazing.
Yeah, and that's another thing, too, that people don't usually do or think about is they don't get out of that 4/4 time signature.
Yeah.
And part of it's because they may not know how to, or they don't think about it. But I mean, 3/4, if you're going to...
That backbeat we were saying is just ingrained in your head.
And if you're going to get into a different time signature, 3/4 is the easiest one to hop into. Yeah. I mean, you got 6/8, which is 6/8, which is a jig, but that's tricky. You know what I mean?
It is.
But 3/4 is fun, and you can get real old school with that stuff. You know.
Yeah, and I love old school. Coming back, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Backtracking, because I mentioned the difference between Irish and Celtic music, and I had to get onto Google and find out, is there a difference? And this is what they said.
Okay.
So maybe this is it says Irish is Irish. Irish is Irish. Celtic also includes people from Brittany, Cornwall, Wales, and Scotland.
Yeah.
Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the Celts all lived in that area. You know what I mean? And however, Irish music is definitely under the umbrella of Celtic music, and I suppose
It's under the umbrella.
Yeah, that would make sense. You know, I just. I tell you what, the Welsh can sing.
Yeah.
And the Corwellians, they can sing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And people forget
Tom
about...
Jones is from Wales. Well,
yeah.
I think that guy can sing.
You know, it's funny. I saw something about Tom Jones where Jones is such a common name in Wales that it would be like Jones the butcher, Jones the miller, Jones the farmer. And Tom Jones was Jones the voice.
The voice.
And I'm like, that's awesome. How cool is that?
There's a video that you can find on YouTube with him singing with Janis Joplin. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Janis had this great blues voice, and boy, they were together just whooping it up, riffing it up, and it's just an amazing thing to see.
I mean, you talk about, and some people are just touched like that. Paul and I last night went to Andrea Bocelli downtown.
Wow.
And that's the same thing. It's like every once in a while, God just touches somebody on the shoulder. You know what I mean? Gives Elvis is that thing. You know what I mean? You go back and there's a lot of Elvis haters in this world. I'm sorry. Elvis vocally is one of the greatest singers ever.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Dean Martin fan, right?
Dean Martin could sing.
And Dean not only could sing, but he was just so
an act.
Casual. Well, and he was funny. A friend of mine named Billy Gallivan was a television producer in Hollywood for years. He did the Glenn Campbell show, and he did the Dean Martin show, and he would have done all this stuff out in Vegas. And he told me a story one time that Dean Martin was the only one that Frank Sinatra didn't force to come party with him. Because like Sinatra would, after the shows, he'd have a big party. And the irony is, back in the day, in the heyday, Dean Martin didn't drink. It was all a prop. It was alcohol.
Yeah, he always had that coffee cup.
Yeah, because he played golf every morning, like 6:30 or 7. You know, and if you go back and you look at like Martin and Lewis, they were the biggest act in the world when they broke up. Yeah, and so they're doing. Billy was telling me the story was they were working in Las Vegas and they're doing the Rat Pack and they've got their shtick, and Dino always got the laughs because he was just so funny, and Frank got really upset.
Did he really?
Yeah, and so Dean Martin goes, okay, we'll swap. I'll say your lines and you say my lines. And so they swapped for the next night because they knew each other's lines. And Dean still got the laughs. And Sinatra was like, okay. It was all right. I mean,
stay in your lane, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest with Frank. I mean, Frank Sinatra's like,
oh yeah.
I mean, the Mount Rushmore of singers. However, and he could act. But Dino could act and sing, but he had the comedy.
Touch,
and comedy is all about timing. Yeah. All of it.
It really is.
Yeah.
As is music.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw an interview that you did not too long ago, and you talked about, and I think this is cool to share with our songwriters out there, the importance of learning to a metronome. Play your songs to a metronome.
Oh, it'll drive you nuts.
Yeah, it will.
It'll drive you nuts. I mean, and it's especially if you're having any kind of aspiration with playing with other musicians, specifically drummers.
Yes.
It's rhythm is hypnotic, and if you get to a point where you have good rhythm and you have good timing, that draws people in to listen as well. Or if you're a little sporadic in your timing, it's a subconscious thing and people may not realize it, but all of a sudden they're not quite as engaged as they could be because they've lost that, it's the snake charmer. It's that thing where you kind of bring them in and hypnosis through that thing. And I'm not talking like really putting people under like any kind of hypnotic spell, but I'm talking about bringing them in that they're all subconsciously engaged in a listening experience that they all stay in time and in tune with because melodically it's staying consistently steady.
That's true.
It's important.
It's great advice to give a songwriter.
Yeah.
What other advice could you give songwriters that are starting out?
Don't try to sound like anybody else.
Right. Right.
You know, what they say, write what you know, which I agree. But at the same time, I think it's important to not feel like you have to write formulaic.
Yeah.
Especially Nashville's a terror for getting people. Like
Yeah.
people are listening to the radio and trying to write to the radio.
Yeah.
And the reality is,
Don't do that. That's 5 years behind. Guys.
Not just 5 years behind. It's also, that's not who they are.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Find, and then also, write with everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes I write with a guy named Ben Jarrell recently.
I know Ben. I have a cut on his last album.
Oh man, Ben,
love him.
Well,
Great artist.
Well, he and I have started to really write. We write really well together. In fact, we wrote a song together that I threw to Rodney Crowell, and Rodney got back to me and he made a few suggestions, and so the three of us have this song put together, and it's unbelievable. And
he's a good one.
And so when I write with Ben, every time we come out of a write, I feel like we've got something. Same thing when I write with Dylan and Bill DeLuigi, right?
Yeah.
And so you get these, and then you get people that you write with, and it's like a really bad first date, and that's okay.
It is all right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. You learn something from every experience.
You do,
Yeah.
and songwriting is ridiculously intimate. It's a really personal thing, if you're going to be good at it, you have to put your soul out there.
You do, and I think a lot of people have a problem with co-writing just simply because of that fact. They've got to, it's got to be so open, and some people can't do that.
And you got to be willing to let a line go.
Yeah, let a line go. You could be holding precious on it sometimes.
Yeah.
You said something recently, and I was looking through your bio and everything. You said, you talk about writing what you know and writing things that are personal to you. And sometimes I've heard people say, well, I don't think that's going to be a hit. It's just too personal. And you said, I find the personal is oftentimes universal. Yeah. So if you can feel it, they can feel it too, right?
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think people are afraid to bare their soul in what they write.
Yeah.
And that's a shame,
because
if you can bare your soul, you're going to touch a soul.
Oh, that's so good and so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have time for one more song.
Okay.
Can you do one more?
Yeah, we'll do an up-tempo.
Up-tempo. Let's do a tempo thing and tell everybody where they can find you online.
Yeah, I'm working hard at getting the socials a little bit more. I'm old school, man, but you can find me on Instagram. It's Sean Turk McNamara. You can find me on Facebook, and you'll find a lot of our videos on YouTube. You can also find McNamara's _Irish_Nash, which is the restaurants.
Find it. You'll love it. Yeah.
So those would be the main places where you can find us, So
great.
this is a song, Paula and I, we spent an anniversary up at Lake Barkley State Park in Kentucky. And we were coming out of the dining area, and there's an old still up there. And I kind of walked over just to kind of have a look at it. And there was a sign above the still which read something like this. It said, "The sun may shine on my old Kentucky home, but the moon shines in the basement." And I was like, well, that's a cool idea for a song. And
I saw the video on this around Turk's place.
So this song's called "Moonshine in the Basement."
Great song.
And it goes a little something like this.
All right.
On a backward in Kentucky stands a family farm, 100-acre homestead, fresh water and a barn, 4 bedrooms and a kitchen with a fieldstone fireplace. 5th generation family still down in the cellar space. Moonshine, sipping white lightning in the evening. Moonshine, front porch picking peaceful feeling. It's the only home I've ever known, there is no replacement. Yeah, the sun may shine in my old Kentucky home, but the moon shines in the basement. Woo! I remember being young, standing by my daddy's side, watching him pick through corn with a practice style. When he passed away, he rolled in the wheel. You finally got the recipe, take care of the family still. Moonshine, sip white lightning in the evening. Moonshine, front porch pick a peaceful feeling. It's the only home I've ever known, there is no replacement. Yeah, the sun may shine, I'm all gonna take it home, but the moon shines in the basement. Yeah, the sun may shine, I'm all gonna take it home, but the moon shines in the basement. Woo! Where there aren't many of us left, most have moved away. The numbers seem to dwindle with each passing day. But if you will never leave and will never be alone, long as the moon is shining, this house will be my home. Moonshine, sipping white lightning in the evening. Moonshine, front porch pink and peaceful feeling. It's the only home I've ever known, there is no replacement. Yeah, the sun may shine, I'm all gonna take it home, but the moon shines in the basement. Yeah, the sun may shine, I'm all gonna take it home, but the moon shines in the basement. Yeah, the sun may shine, I'm all gonna take it home, but the moon shines in the basement.
Yes, it is. Sean Patrick McNamara. Can you get more Irish than that?
That's it.
We all know him as Turk and love him as Turk. So great song. I saw the video of that with Joe Spivey playing the violin.
That's great.
What does that add to that song?
Yeah, it's great.
What a great song.
Thank you.
Hey, Turk, good to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. I can't thank you enough for spending the time, coming out to my place here in Hermitage and being part of the show. Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
We'll see you around for sure.
Sounds
Absolutely, because I love your place.
Thank you.
And folks listening at home, right on, WRITE.
That's a wrap from the dining room table. Thanks for joining the conversation and chasing the music with us. From Nashville, Tennessee, this is the Songwriter Connection, the award-winning elite music podcast of the year, connecting the songs and the people who write them.